Peace, Sirius Mindz family. We would like to welcome everyone to the Sister Cipher. We ask that you please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. We want to welcome everyone to another session of the Sister Cipher. I have with me tonight Alex Little. I also have with me Carrie Cat Boogie from the Bronx. Ladies, like to say hello to the chat.
Good evening, blessings, everyone.
Yes, peace, family.
Alrighty, so tonight we will be discussing the Amber Guyger and the Botham Jean case, and I just really want to talk about how off code these people were on the case. And you know, for those who are familiar with it, I am going to touch a little bit about the background of the case. So for those who don't know about it or who are not familiar with the case, I do want to go into it. And then we're going to discuss about just the things that were going on during and after the trial, which to me, honestly, is completely off code. And I definitely want to get your latest take on it. So before we get into this, if you would like to go ahead and support the platform, please make sure you hit up the Super Chat or PayPal or Cash App. Again, we ask that you please hit the like button, subscribe, and share. And we also want to get your take on it, so feel free to go ahead and post in the chat with us. So, Amber Guyger, 31, was fired from the Dallas police force in September 2018. In the weeks after she fatally shot Botham Jean, who lived one floor above her in the same apartment complex. Guyger testified that after she got off from work, she mistakenly parked on the wrong floor of the complex and confusing Botham Jean's apartment with hers. She believed he was a burglar. So for those who don't know who Botham Jean is, he's a 26-year-old accountant basically who was unarmed and watching television and eating ice cream in his living room when Guyger walked into his apartment just a little bit after 10 p.m. And she claimed that she feared for her life when she saw a large silhouette. And there you go with the classic, I was scared of the big black man stereotype. But anyway, Guyger was later convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 10 years in prison. But we all know she's probably going to only do about 3 to 5 years and put on probation for the remaining of her sentence. And in a shocking display of kindness, Botham Jean's brother and the judge, her name is Tammy Kemp, and she's been coined Tammy the Mammy, presiding over the case, embraced Amber Guyger during her sentence. And in a shocking gesture, Jean's brother and the judge who presided over the case embraced Guyger before she exited the courtroom. And Brent Jean basically said, "I love you as a person and I don't wish anything bad on you." 18-year-old Brent Jean told Guyger during the moment, and he also hugged her, and the hug lasted about maybe a minute or so. But he basically told her, "I forgive you." And he was quoted as saying, "I'm more concerned about how these acts of forgiveness have been weaponized." I'm sorry, that's the pastor. I want to go back. He basically said that he forgave her. And he basically said that he, you know, didn't hold any grudge, and he wasn't speaking on the behalf of the family. He was, you know, this was strictly coming from him. And also his father was quoted, he was in a church and he was giving this speech or whatever. And he also said that, "I would like to be her friend at some point." And I was a little confused by all of this. And, you know, the mother, she didn't say too much during the court sentencing. But afterwards, she kind of was saying, "Oh, well, we didn't get enough justice." But yet she didn't speak on her son's behalf when the time was needed. And so basically the jury said it's because of all the forgiveness that she got the sentence that she got. And so there's a lot of local politicians and pastors here in Dallas who basically said that let me quote this pastor. His name is Bishop Taylor Swan. He basically said, "I'm more concerned about how these acts of forgiveness have been weaponized to dwarf our work for justice in this nation. The idea that Black people must always forgive our oppressors is just another arm of white supremacy. And in what way does it serve to uphold the white supremacy power structure? They don't want us to basically forgive they don't want us to basically, he was basically saying, they don't want us to have anger or have like this rage about our oppressors. He basically said that it really set us back in our efforts to fight white supremacy. And to me, you know, Amber Guyger is basically a racist, a racist murderer. And she basically, during the sentence, they brought up all the text messages that she had. They normally give an MLK Day parade. And so they brought up all her text messages about how she basically was saying this and that about, you know, Black people. And, you know, that was basically read during the sentencing. I don't know why it was not allowed during the trial, but basically it was read through the sentencing. And so, I mean, for me, I'm just a little confused because I saw the family and their reaction to it. And to me, I feel like we were set back 10 steps back, if you really ask me. You know, to me, I think the family should have been a little bit more outraged. And, you know, honestly, I'm just sick and tired of seeing us as a community be so forgiving of these people who blatantly kill us. And so, ladies, I want to get your take on it. We're going to dive a little bit more into details about this case, but I definitely want to get your take on this whole trial. We're also going to get into Joshua Brown, who testified in the case. He was murdered on Friday. So I do want to get into that as well. We're going to talk about the lawyers. We're going to talk about Guyger's boyfriend. We're going to talk about Tammy the Mammy. We're going to talk about the bailiff. We're going to talk about everything. So I definitely want to get your first take on it, and then we're going to dive a little deeper into this. So what's your take on it, ladies?
Alex, you want to go first?
No, ma'am. Peace.
Okay, so I got this one. Yes. Okay. Well, I agree with you, Quan. For some reason, we seem to be portrayed as a forgiving group. We always tend to forgive those who harm us. For some reason, what they displayed, I understand they are Christian, and I understand you have to turn the other cheek. But what are you stating about how we are worth when you do these things? It's like we are not worth anything at all. It's like you could shoot us, and the next minute you crying your crocodile tears, and we automatically forgive you. I mean, I never seen, unless somebody can correct me on this chat, anyone of color shoot someone white, and we just get up and they forgive us. They don't forgive us for anything. And we tend to forgive people like we don't value, we don't matter. I think it was a shame that she got 10 years. And I do agree with you. With good behavior, she'll be out. I'm not sure. I don't believe the brother, the mother, and whoever else was there from the family saying that they wasn't aware the camera was not on. To me, it looked like it was just something that they decided to do, but the camera was off or on. It was in poor judgment. I heard that they are trying to file some complaint against the judge. So she put her job at risk. I want to know, did she hug anyone else of color when she sentenced them as well? I mean, come on now. We've been through a lot. And I'm not saying we shouldn't forgive her. Maybe she made a mistake. I don't believe it. But at the same time, to get up and give her a hug and a Bible, it's just being brainwashed all over again. It's like we have to turn the other cheek. We have to say, you know what, you deserve less than what you're supposed to get. We supposed to, all of us, be up in arms. And then to see a brother that just testified on behalf of the family, I haven't heard anything from his families or anyone, period, saying we should get together and thank this brother for putting himself on the line to actually be a witness and actually come forward. And then he dies and you don't hear anything. I don't hear not one petition. I don't hear no one gathering money. I don't hear the media going up an arm. That's why I said sometimes we got to do things for ourselves. And we have to think for ourselves. That family, no offense to anyone, that's brainwashed. That was cray, and unfortunate. That's my opinion. And they're wearing that hashtag shirt. Anyone seen it? A hashtag shirt on behalf of someone that just got killed, murder. He's not a hashtag. He's a human being. So shame on the family as well. And anybody from St. Lucia who feels that I'm wrong, you can say, speak up on it on the chat. I think it was wrong. Point blank, period.
Alex,
Yeah, I was laughing at the cray cray. Kat, you said a mouthful. Peace, Sirius Mindz family. I miss you, sisters. I'm so happy we get to talk. But unfortunately, about this subject, it is very emotional, and I know many people are angry. Many people are enraged, and Kat, you pointed out, brainwashing. When Quan, you spoke of white supremacy, I just wonder when we as a people are going to inspect the historical references of the religions we choose to participate in. Clinically speaking, for the brother who said that he didn't want to say this in front of his family or in the courtroom, but he didn't want her to serve time and that he loved her. When I watched his body language, it's almost as like he was forcing himself to the highest level that he could of this ideology, of this, forgiveness type person. And I think that him asking for her for a hug, and you can go back and watch this, he tugs at his collar and his voice quivers and he doesn't get emotional, but I think he needed to do that for himself at that time to give himself some type of closure in the moment. Do I agree with it? No. I think it might have been a mature choice for his mindset at the time, but I don't think that's the best option overall for our people. That's one family, one relationship, one way to go about healing. But I don't think it's very, I think it's divisive and I think it's destructive. I think the whole damn operation was just flat out, it was messed up. I think the bailiff patting her hair, why was that happening? I think the judge is supposed to be objective. Why are you hugging the client? She's not the victim. She shot that man. And then why were you on a whole different level? You couldn't smell it wasn't in your apartment? I mean, there's just so many things wrong here that need to be sifted through. But what it comes down to it is, what the hell is really going to happen? Is she going to get 5 years? Is she going to get 10? Will she commit suicide? Will she be out in 2? I don't know, but it's sloppy and it's messy, and I hope we can extract a real good learning opportunity tonight.
Mm-hmm. So, Carrie, you mentioned that where do you see basically where a Black person is basically forgiven by the white society? And when you think about it, the white society or white supremacy or white inferiority, if you want to put it that way, they still have this anger and madness about OJ and hate Muslims because of 9/11, and basically they defend any police that kill another Black person, but yet we are required to quote unquote have this forgiveness. And we have to stop and ask ourselves, like, why are we held to a higher task or to this epitome of forgiveness and they're not? Because at the end of the day, I guarantee if the shoes were on the other foot and if it was her family and she was the person killed, I guarantee you they would be with stakes. They would be demanding justice. They would be literally wanting to have the whole entire family prosecuted. But yet we are required to have this forgiveness. And I take issue with that. We as a community, we have to stop that. And I know a lot of people want to justify it with religion, but no. You have to demand justice. And like you said, Alex, like, why do we have to be so damn docile? Like, why? At what point are we going to stand up and stop being so goddamn meek and humble and afraid of our oppressors? Like, we have to get out of that mindset. And until we do that, we're going to always be $1 late and a day short. We are going to always be at that point, fighting behind the 8 ball. Like, we got to stop that. And I just don't understand why this family, again, for me personally, I think this really did set us back as a community. But I want to get your take on it. Do you think that we back because of this? Because honestly, they don't even live here. They live in the Caribbean. And a lot of people in the Black conscious community have been saying that, you know, at the end of the day, they have put targets on our backs. They get on a plane and go back to their island. But we still have to deal with white supremacy here. And what you have done is basically give them a slap on the wrist and a free pass to kill us. And ironically, what happens 3 days later? Joshua Brown gets killed. Where's the justice for him? So I want to get your take on it, ladies. What's your take on it? Do you think we as a community have been set back by their actions?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to go first this one too. Absolutely, we have been set back. Like I stated earlier, we're looking at someone who's highly educated, an African-American who highly educated, who's doing well for himself. If people don't get together and figure out that they don't care whether you're highly educated, whether you're a bum in the street, it doesn't matter. To them, we are always going to be worthless. Our life is going to be worthless. We don't mean anything. And by sending us back and telling them it's okay to kill us, and using religion to just pacify what happened is absolutely, again, cray for me. I mean, you have to stand up. We are human beings. We are brothers, sisters, mothers, cousins. Our lives matter. And this is why we get all these Black Lives Matters, chant, rallies, and all that, because people don't get it. You have to stand behind your people. If you don't, this is going to continue. Every time you turn the news, it's something about someone dying, getting killed, getting murdered. For what? All because they Black? It doesn't make any sense. And for you to fly all the way over here, no offense again to my Caribbean people, and just pacify it and say, you know what, I forgive them. I got it. You could forgive them. But you have to put out there that you kill someone's life because you made a stupid call. You're a police officer. They don't train you. You don't know how to enter my apartment and say, you know, who's this, is that. You shoot to kill. That's the answer. And then you get up there and you do your little performance, like crying, and want us to believe it. And then you text message a couple of days later, like it's a joke, and go about your business. And then she only get 10 years, and then a Black sister gonna hug you and give you a Bible and say it's gonna be all right. And then you have a blood relative. I'm pretty sure there's have been family members who turn on each other in a drop of a dime. This is nothing, but this is what we're showing them, that it's okay to kill us, and we're gonna turn on each other, and we don't really care about our lives. And I'm sick of it. I'm very disgusted by their behavior. They set us back 100%. 100. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm pretty sure there's some people in the chat right now who've had the same sentiments. And it's almost as if, you know, and even if they are from the Caribbean, I'll say this: it's the mindset. If we look at the white supremacist, racist mindset, it's planting its seed in the minds of the masses, no matter where they are globally. So even with them being able to go home and have their geographical land base, we're still here in America. But I bet they got that American experience. And I say that with no hate in my heart. May he rest in peace. What I'm saying is, why don't we look at the white supremacist mindset and see what's being planted? And I think some very valuable things have been said here. Why do we have to forgive? It makes me think of The Butler. When Mariah Carey was taken and raped, and the father said, "No, son, this is the white man's world. You know, no." And when the white man came back, pulling up his suspenders, and he said, "Hey," and he shot him in the head. You know, why does any person of color, any Black person, any African descent individual, African American, however you want to verbalize it, why is that person expected to be forgiving, quiet? Are we humans first and foremost? Are we humans? And another thing it makes me think of, you know, police, when you look at this situation, that's a job, yo. That's a career. If we're going to look at a nation, should the whole nation be on code? Isn't the whole nation abide by the Constitution? I mean, we're not talking about jobs. We're talking about a nation. Why isn't the police force, the whole entire police force, on code under the nation? If we're talking about equity and equality and justice for all, I just think there's just so many messed up things. And again, like, I just don't understand. And that family is probably going to have some disputes. They're probably going to have some very private, heated debates behind closed doors. I couldn't imagine me being murdered and my sister saying, you know, "I love you, I forgive you, don't go to jail to my murderer." I think my children will probably rearrange that courtroom. I'm not even playing.
Okay.
And I'm trying not to use profanity because, you know, it's very sad. And I know there's a lot of people who are coming out of religion and coming into themselves. And some people are experiencing this paralysis to where they don't know what to do, but they know that what they've been taught and what they've participated in is incongruent with what's in their spirit and heart. And that's a very sensitive space to be. So what I hope we can do is look at white supremacy and wonder why they would give us a God. That's some real shit right there.
So I agree with you, but I'm sorry. But if that was my family, no way in hell they would be that damn unforgiving. No way in hell. And to my family, if you are listening, y'all better ride for me. Forget all that goddamn forgiveness. I need you to ride for me and demand justice. Okay? Forget that. I don't want no damn forgiveness. I want justice. And if you gotta whip somebody's ass in the courtroom, do what you gotta do. Because at the end of the day, I don't want forgiveness. That's God's job. God will forgive you. I don't want your forgiveness. I want and demand justice. And I totally agree with you. Like, I've never seen people just lay down like that. I've never seen this before in my life. And it's so disheartening. So disheartening. And I just look at it like, you know, obviously she's a racist convicted murderer. And I just think to myself, like, why does she get a sweet, caring hug from a judge? Is it because she's a cop? Is it because she's a white woman, which means she deserves sympathy? I mean, name the last black man you saw hugged by a judge after a murder conviction. And we're going to get into Miss Tammy the Mammy in a little bit, but I just want to know, like, when have you ever seen that, where you just seen a judge just come down and give a damn Bible to a convicted murderer? Like, where they do that at? Like, I got to, ebonically speaking, like, where? Like, I've never seen this happen a day in my life.
Yeah,
you know?
Never.
Yeah, I think it was also. Go ahead.
Yeah, if anything, usually a priest is sitting back there, and maybe he might get up and give her a Bible, and then she over here, she got me on my nerves with her little pearls, wearing her pearls outside her little. Oh, I could stand her right now. Just don't get it.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. They do have chaplains and clergies for positions for that reason. And I think when I watched the video, I think the judge was like showing her the Bible because there was like two white men in front of the camera. So as Guyger was listening to the judge give her the scriptures or whatever, that's when she put her hand on the judge's shoulder and got cozy. It's like, okay, well, let me just reach for a hug. So I think the whole thing was reversed. I think it was reversed. And Quan, you said something very important in the beginning in your initial statement. You mentioned why those you mentioned that the text messages from Guyger putting down the MLK parade, making fun and mimicking and mocking and showing racist remarks in regards to Black people, that was not put in the trial. However, during the sentencing, it was. And what's so messed up about that is because that's not embedded in the psyches and the consciousness of the jurors as much as that emotional display by the family. So that display again, where he said, can I hug you? I don't want you to go to jail. I think that might have been an emotional tearjerker for the jurors, to where they might override hardcore evidence showing her for who she was. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just so many little things in there. There's a lot of little things in there.
I do think that a lot of the antics going on during the trial and after the trial was for the cameras. And I think after he asked the judge, well, can I hug her? It's like she took it upon herself to offer scripture, which was John 3:16, and she offered her Bible or whatever, and said she had like 3 others at home or whatever the issue was. But my question was, it's like, judges are supposed to be impartial and show discretion. Like, why? You should have never left that podium where you were sitting at. Like as a judge, you are not supposed to take one side or another. And when I saw the bailiff rubbing her hair, and if you look at that part, it's like she was actually told. The supervisor, white cop sitting behind her, begged for her to basically do whatever to her hair, and she started petting it like the mammy on some damn plantation, rubbing her hair. It's like it was staged, but it was embarrassing. I'm like, where? Yes. Like, where the hell? Like, who raised you? Like, who the hell raised you? Like, I want to know, like, what kind of mindset you got to have to just be like pick like that, like, and just jump at when somebody tells you to do it. And I understand where his position is. I understand he's just doing what white supremacy does. But you, on the other hand, you could have took a stance. You didn't have to do that. I understand you want to support this whole blue wall and everything, but like, where is your stance? Where is your support? Like, at the end of the day, you have a brother, I'm quite sure, or uncle, or father, or son, or somebody in your family that you can see when you look at Botham John's face. Like, at the end of the day, like, you, the judge, as well as the bailiff, I was more embarrassed as the Black woman than I've ever been in my entire life, just looking at this stuff. And I said, you know what? We as Black women, as a Black community, we have got to do better. So I want to get your takes on Judge Tammy Kemp, aka aka Tammy the Mammy, and the Black female bailiff, like, their whole antics in the courtroom. What's your take on that, ladies?
Carrie, I'll slip in real quick. I guess I'm just still in shock. Like, I don't understand. Like, why was the bailiff petting her hair? What type of what was that supposed to do? There was no dandruff, you know what I'm saying? There were no flyaways. Was it an attempt to, caress her? I don't get it. What was the point? And even if so, you don't see that on Judge Judy or Judge Joe Brown or Judge Mathis. Ain't nobody gonna tell nobody to get the person being prosecuted. It's just stupid. I don't get it. And even if there was going to be an attempt, it wasn't even like a back pat or a shoulder rub. It was just like the flowing of the hands of a hair. It was just weird. Like, why? I don't know. But to go back to the hug, when she hugged the brother, like, what was she saying to the brother? What was that? Why? Like, I don't get it. Why did you need to do that in that moment? There weren't even any tears or any emotions being displayed. Like, what did she say to the brother? What was said to the brother? And then, too, being impartial, that was a poor move career-wise. You step up on the podium, handed a book, now you choose a religion for the person, and then open the scripture for more healing to disperse. What part of the game is that? Wasn't no Bible given to the family. You ain't open up no book of healing scripture for the family. You know what I'm saying? So, again, it's just like crazy. Like, when you rewind it and watch it, please, family, Sirius Mindz family, go watch a clip. There's plenty of clips. Watch the mother's apology. And that's his method. That's maybe his way of healing. But it was so weird. And you'll see what Quan's talking about when the white man pointed to the bailiff, like, you, tend to her. And then the bailiff on cue walks and pecks her hair. It just was so awkward. It was a very awkward play. It was an awkward exchange. I've never seen anything like that before in my life either. And, you know, Quan, you speak about never being more embarrassed as a Black woman in your life, seeing such a display of coonery. I mean, I'm just surprised that I want to hear about what more Black Christians have to say. I want to hear about what more Black Christians have to say about forgiveness. I want to know more about what other Black Christians honestly feel in their hearts about what's happening with this forgiveness type mentality that is allowing white racist supremacy to run rampant. There's one thing when we choose to be righteous in you know, universal codes, give and also receive, reap, sow, you know, karma. However, when a systemic denomination type entity takes over and utilizes a religion for indoctrination, destruction, death, deception, annihilation, I think we all need to step back from an emotional standpoint and use sound, practical logic to step back and look at this situation. Let's take a scripture, for example. Wasn't David a man after God's own heart? Wasn't he killing? Wasn't he infidel at one point, and adultery and murdering? The consequences remain. You understand what I'm saying? God can give grace, and we can be merciful. However, when it comes to a court system, If we got brothers out here doing 25 years for a crack rock, or you got a crackhead doing 35 years for stealing some ribs, why is a white woman eligible for 10 years, of which 5 will be served, maybe 2 in prison, 3 on house arrest, for killing a black man who did nothing but exist? It's crazy. And what I'll say lastly, because I feel myself getting excited and worked up, and I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be upset, because this is very upsetting. I want to be rational, logical. But what I will say is, it's not right. Those rosewood tears still work today. And people looking into this white supremacist structure here in America that is still very existent and well and alive are looking at us like we're crazy for being docile and weak and passive instead of demanding respect. So I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. It's bizarre. I don't know why the bailiff would pet the murderer.
And yet, Alex, you said it a mouthful. I mean, I agree with you, everything you stated. And it just go back to what I stated earlier. It's like we cater to the white masses. We have to do everything to please them. We have to make sure that we stay on the radar. We have to stay in a place where we're not going to go all crazy, because if we go crazy, guess what? They're going to come and turn on us. I think the family was more, like I said, is religious as well, but they didn't want any problems. I guess they didn't want to step on anyone's toes, but they have to realize that's a loved one that just got killed for no reason at all. And this is why I say we have to make noise. We do. If we don't make noise, guess what? The next shooting is going to be the same thing over and over. We're going to be in the news for maybe a week, 2 weeks, and next week we forget about it. We forget about the person, the living person that just got murdered because of the color of their skin. And I think that has been going on too long, for too far. And that's where my disgust come in. I'm just disgusted by what they did in the courtroom. I think she should have falled back the judge, play her role. Everyone else should have as well, because like you stated earlier, Quan and Alex, if the shoe was in the other foot, no one will be rubbing our hair. No one will be giving us a Bible. No one will even care if we come out in 5, 3 years, 4, 7. We probably get the whole 25.
And then some.
Okay, and
here
this
in
is
Texas, and here in Texas, no, you would be executed. You killing a cop, you would be executed, plain and simple. So, you know, how his family chooses to grieve, basically it is their own business, and they're absolutely entitled to that. But again, in my opinion, what the judge and the bailiff did is absolutely unacceptable. And speaking of the judge, do you know that she was endorsed by the Dallas Police Association like last year? And if you look at the flyer that we have posted up right now, you can see a tweet where she is proud and endorsing about the endorsement from the Dallas Police Department. And it all started making sense to me of why she, number one, tried to, you know, why she did what she did, number one, why she wanted to introduce certain evidence and not introduce other evidence, and all her antics and everything. Like, I understand now why she did what she did. Unfortunately, she was up for sale and election, and so this all makes it, it's no mistake that she was chosen to preside over this case. And again, it's because she's very pro-blue. She was endorsed by them, and she's like the first Black female to hold this position here in Dallas. You know what's so sad about it? We got a Black police chief here in Dallas. We have a Black mayor, and we have this Black judge sitting on her seat. And all of that makes absolutely no difference, because all of them seem to be very pro-blue and support of the Dallas Police Department. And it's as corrupt as they come. And it's so sad, because it's like you would think that you would have all these political figures that should be fighting for us, and they're not. And, you know, I just look at her endorsements from the police department, and I'm like, okay, so sis, basically, you're showing where your loyalty lies. It's not with the Black community, it's with the police department. Because you want to enter the castle doctrine, which does not even apply to this case. She was not in her own damn house, so how could this even apply? That's null and void. But yet you wanted the jury to consider that. And also right before they're going to sentence her and talk about her sentencing, you basically was telling them what they should do and how they should convict her. And I'm just like, okay, she needs to totally be removed from her position, plain and simple, because she did over and beyond. And also, ladies, in the chat room, there's right now there's a complaint that was filed by a Wisconsin-based group who basically said that, you know, they're challenging this whole religious display, and they're basically saying that she took the opportunity to push on her religious belief to quote unquote convict her.
Unethical. Yes.
Yes. And they're basically saying that it's not only unethical, but she went over and beyond her scope of work, her call of duty. So they're basically filing a complaint against her because of this. And I was like, you know what, kudos for them, because I'm glad somebody's sticking up, because clearly nobody else is sticking up. So I want to get your take on it, ladies, your opinion on like how, you know, you see her being endorsed by the Dallas Police Department, and also this complaint being filed against her.
I mean, we spoke about this before, integrity over everything. So I guess she got her hand in a cookie jar. She probably gonna get paid. She's probably gonna what they normally do, get like a month off, and she think we're gonna forget about her name and what she has done. We have to put the pressure on people. This is like I said, it's to a point where we gotta put pressure on these judges that do things like this, people who look the other way. And I don't know what she was thinking. I guess, like you stated, maybe
votes. That's what she was thinking. Votes. She want to get reelected. That's what she was thinking.
I mean, come on now. You still ended up going for someone who killed someone else. So I guess she's gonna sleep better at night knowing that she's gonna get votes. I'm not with it. I don't think it's a great thing. I don't even like her. Like I stated earlier, I felt she's a coon. She's just not for us. And I'm just sad right now. I don't even know what to say at this point. I'm even sadder that the guy that witnessed everything and went up there and spoke up was killed, shot, executed.
We're going to get into it. Yeah, we're going to get into Joshua Brown's case. I mean, what happened, because it's still very fresh. I mean, it just happened on Friday night, so we're definitely going to get into it and discuss it.
But you know, Quan, like, I don't mean to, interject and jump all over the place, but I want to see what happens when we try to find out who killed him. Are we going to shake? Are we going to rub people's hands again, give a Bible to the person who shot and killed him? Come on.
Okay, so since we're on it, let's get into it. Okay, first of all, we have a black mayor. As a black mayor, and we also have a black police chief who is completely useless, because we had other cases here in Dallas and she did absolutely nothing. But if you wanted to reassure the community, and I'm not just talking about black community, I'm talking about the entire Dallas community, you would seek that the FBI or the federal government step in and do an independent investigation so that there's no muddy waters and there's trust in a community that Joshua Brown will get a fair investigation and a fair trial of whoever his murderer is. And we all know who it is. Let's just be clear about it. Because obviously, John Merritt, and I may have his first name wrong, but he's the attorney who basically represented Bolton's family, I believe. Yeah, he represented Bolton's family. And also Benjamin Crump is, when he comes on the board, you already know it's a money bag grab for him. But basically, he quoted that Joshua Brown was shot in the face, in the mouth, and also in the chest. And so he basically moved away from the apartment. As you know, he lived across the hall from Bolton. But he moved into another apartment complex, which is a gated community. Now, as you know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but Dallas has cameras on every freaking light. Every cross section, there's a camera. There's cameras on just about every building around here. And again, because being in history, there's assassination with JFK, and then you had the Mackay case, and it's like a lot of stuff goes on. So you got cameras basically everywhere. Just about every business has cameras on it. And being that this is a gated community apartment complex, and it's in a very well-to-do, it's gentrified. It's uptown Dallas. For those of you who are familiar with Dallas, it's a very well-to-do area. So it's not a crime-infested area. So I do believe that they may have it on camera, but and the only people that can get in there is one, people who live there, two, the police department, fire department, EMTs, because basically you have to file a permit with the city. When you file this permit, you have to give, quote unquote, a code for emergency responders to get in. So obviously somebody had the code to get in this gated community. And this young brave man who sat in trial, who testified against Guyger, was brutally murdered. And I do honestly think this was a message being sent across the Black community, because in retaliation of him testifying against Guyger. And last year, there was an attempted murder on him back in November. So this is not, that to me, this is all planned, and this is all a setup. And honestly, I do believe that the police department has a lot to do with it, because he has already said that he felt like his life was threatened. And so again, with all of this, just knowing just the simple stuff, that this is a gated community, there's cameras everywhere, there's nothing that goes unseen in this city. Trust me when I tell you that. So I do believe that he was brutally murdered. And again, I'm willing to put it out on the line and just say, hey, Dallas PD may have something to do with it. There may be some people who may disagree, but the spirit tells me differently. And again, I just truly, honestly believe that unfortunately we lost a brave soul who was willing to put it on the line. And it takes a lot of heart to testify against a police person and to be threatened. And the young lady who videotaped it, she is currently being threatened. She had to basically go in hiding. She lost her job. You know what I'm saying? So I want to get your take on this, ladies. Like, what's your thoughts on this?
It's almost like, I'm going to kill you. You're going to shut up about it. Something that came to mind before we ventured into this topic was, couldn't the Jean family attorney sue? Because what if Guyger was like an atheist? You know what I'm saying? Why is the judge forcing the Bible onto her? And I'm not saying this in defense of Guyger at all. What I'm saying is, why is the Bible being treated in this ideology being treated as, I'm going to forgive you with this, and now I'm going to forgive you with this again? You know what I'm saying? Like, just the application of it. There's so much more in that book. We got to be practical, family. It's just very frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. But, you know, some of the things about what you just said about the gentleman Joshua Brown, I believe is his name. You know, I've seen a couple different things today, and his son is almost 1 year old. That's sad. That's very sad. He was wealthy. He was educated. He managed a couple different places in a couple different places with his line of work. So, yeah, for him to be brave and stand up and speak about what he saw and give an accurate, honest depiction, he shouldn't be murdered for that. And it was a murder. I mean, the police report said several different things. At first, he was shot in the mouth, then he was shot in the chest. Then in the same sentence, it was the lower body. I mean, it's sketchy. There's a lot of sketchiness to it. It's just frustrating. I don't know. I think that when you get these titles, it makes it more stickier. When you title something a Christian, or you title something a police enforcer, I mean, those titles alone have so much weight to them. So it makes it all the more challenging and difficult. But when you just strip the title and say human, and you start looking at skin, and we're treating one human different because their skin happens to be a darker hue, that's a problem. So there's just so many different things. I would like to see the witness Joshua Brown's statement still hold up in court. I hope nothing is I hope nothing is reversed. I hope nothing's dismissible, or nothing gets deducted or rewinded, because that's going to be straight up bullshit. I mean, I can't even go there. You know, it's going to be wrong flat out. Hopefully nothing gets reduced, and the young lady who's in hiding for videotaping what she's seen, which is an eyewitness account, I hope she's safe, and I hope it takes play. And if any other situation happens where Guyger gets in trouble while in prison, it can go back to the original sentence. I just think it's crazy. I mean, it's murder. It's flat out murder.
I do think as it stands, even though he was obviously murdered, his testimony still can be used for any future trials if she decides to appeal the case for some reason or whatever. Because it's in evidence, they still can use his evidence. They can read back to the jury and to the court what was said during the trial. So that's not lost. But that's if the DA decides he wants to be smart about it. Because again, Judge Tammy the Mammy Kemp, she basically called him, she put him in contempt because he started talking about the case. So she wants to muzzle him, and she basically wants to not have him talk honestly about the case. And so she held him in contempt for it. And now, mind you, these are all Black people now. And I'm just like, come on, Tammy, like, since you showing your slip right now, I'm gonna need you to get it together. Like, you really showing your slip right now. And I just, it's sad because we need people to speak out. We need people to testify, but it's hard when you see persons like Joshua Brown being flat out murdered because, again, he stood up for the right reason. Yeah. And it's almost a smack in the face when you have a family that's just all too willing to be forgiving of his murderer. And so it's just, it's sad. Again, Merritt and Benjamin Crump, yes, Alex, they are getting the bag, basically. They are suing and going to get money. And there's been a lot of talk about the reason why the family has been so forgiving and just so kind of meek in their stance is because these attorneys are basically telling them not to be too outraged because they will get more money if they do so. I don't know how true it is, but it's starting to look very, plausible that they may be doing it because of this. Go ahead, Carrie.
I mean, no, you're right. I don't, like I stated earlier, I'm very disgusted with everything, but we all know, now I'm not saying all police officers are corrupt, but in the justice system in itself, there's people that's going to be corrupt. That's a little gang in itself. The people in blue, police in blue, they stick together. So now, not only are you saying we should keep ourselves quiet, you are murdering someone who actually testifies. So no one else will go out there and say what they saw, if they want to speak up. So you're sending a message to those who really want to go out there and say, you know what, this was injustice. This is how I feel. This is what I see. If you open your mouth, guess what? You murder, you kill, you assassin. I mean, what message are you sending to those people who actually want to stand up and speak up? And for those family members, if they are getting money under the table, over the table, whatever you want to call it, I mean, that's good. If you feel like your relative is not worth it, that's on you. But once again, it was out there. It was in the media. You had cameras in there. As a family, you could have said, no cameras. We don't want no cameras in here. We want to deal with it the way we can deal with it as a family. But you put it out there. And when you put it out there.
I think they don't have the say-so on cameras being in a courtroom. Is completely up to the judge. However, again, when it comes, they do two things I want to say. One,
yeah, go ahead.
Right. Two things I want to say. One, they set up a foundation for this son, which they should. But basically, they're now asking people to donate to this foundation. And on top of that, secondly, they are, again, anytime you see Crump run to a damn case, another police shooting or whatever, you got to know it's him negotiating behind the scenes to get the bag. And it's like, since Trayvon Martin, it's like, first of all, what case have you won? Like, when's the last time you ever won a case? Seriously. Like, whether it's Mike Brown, Trayvon Martin, like all these cases that you basically run to, you always in the front with your bullhorn and basically representing these families, and you never see these cops get any time per se, or the family get real justice. Yeah, they may get the bag, but there's no justice. And it's like, pick or choose. Do you want justice or do you want the bag?
Yeah.
Or maybe you want both.
Can I point out something really quick too? Also too, Quan, I know we spoke this really briefly earlier. Pardon me, family. But one of the things too that we had noticed, with all this media attention on YouTube with personal channels and things of that nature, was Amber Guyger in one of the original photos of her, her mugshot, she had a towel around her neck. And allegedly that towel was to cover her police uniform.
Absolutely.
I think we need to be honest here. We need to show an honest depiction of the white supremacists in office and in position who fuck up, and hold them accountable. If we're going to be equitable and just, then that needs to be shown too, because it's rampant here in America, and it is what it is. So I think that if we're going to be responsible and accountable and respond to our ability to make things right, that's a part of the justice system. And maybe the Department of Justice can own up to that too and launch those private investigations. So what's the problem with them holding her accountable and saying, hey, you fucked up here, Amber. You're part of the team, you're part of the unit, but we got to release you and you got to serve your time. You've done a well job. Hopefully you put up money in your 401k, but you got to go to jail just like the rest of people who commit murder and live a bigot life. What's wrong with that? Why not admit to the systemic flaws? Why not change the behavior of the structure? I don't get it.
Well, I made this post on somebody's chat. I don't know who chat it was, but I think it was last night or so, maybe the day before. You will never, and I do mean never, ever see a police person or detective in a police uniform posing for the camera while being under arrest. You will never see that. That's why they have the towel wrapping her uniform, because they will never show that. Why? Blue will always black blue. Bottom line, they will never show their own being quote unquote arrested and detained. They will never show that. As a matter of fact, they allow them to come in unhandcuffed, basically coming in as dressed down in their clothes. In her case, they took her, directly to, they didn't charge her directly, but they did take her, took some photos and what have you. But this was after the fact. This was like days later. But at the end of the day, they covered her up. They protect their own. And I just wish we can have that same mindset. Well,
that's what I was saying. Yes, it's corrupt. It's corruption. Yeah, you absolutely right. That's what I stated earlier. There's corruption within that department in itself. The police officers, the judge, that's law enforcement. And unfortunately, they work together. You just stated it, Quan, and I stated it earlier. They're gonna stick with each other no matter what. So sometimes I feel like, they have something biased against Black people. They just see us shoot to kill. That's just the mentality, no matter what race you are. And it's sad, but if we look at historical, it has been done to us plenty of time. And now that we have minorities in there, I think they're being brainwashed. They don't even care to a point like, you know what, it's a Black person in front of me, a Latino person in front of me. It doesn't matter. They're being brainwashed and trained to just shoot and kill. And when something happens, they get together and they protect one another. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. It's just got to a point like we don't mean anything. That's what I'm trying to say. And to have people of our kind to actually walk the walk, talk the talk, and not even care, it got to a point that's very sad and disgusting, because we fought for these rights. We fought to be equal. And when you get up there, your job is to, if you're now 100% behind us, is to make a change. Even a small little change you should make. But if you get with the okie doke, go with it and kill people and put people behind bars for 2 or 3 years, knowing it's your own kind, what's that said about you? We haven't made any progress. So when you mention, have we made any progress moving forward, or we being set back? We are absolutely being set back by their behavior, their action in that courtroom.
No, I totally agree with you. Like, one, we need to stop romanticizing about a white savior and forgiving our oppressors. Like, we got to get out of that mindset, right? And we already know that the police department, FBI, CIA, all these basically arms of the police force have been infiltrated by KKKs and white supremacy. We already know that. The problem is when we have our own in there and they're not willing to basically stand up for us and be willing to speak out and stick. And like they said, I think it was Baba Dick Gregory who said, you have to be like a turtle, hard on the outside, soft on the inside, and willing to stick your neck out. We don't have enough people that's willing to do that. And I think when we get to that point where we're policing our own communities, and when we can have people that's willing to represent us, not like Merritt, not like Crump, because basically they're pushing just for the bag. They don't want justice. They just want the bag. And when we have representations like that, I mean, it's hard for us to get justice. It's hard for us to move forward when you have your own turning cold on us. Like I don't want somebody like that representing anybody in my family. You know, it's enough we got to deal with it from the outside. But if you have somebody that's basically telling you, well, you know, don't act up. Well, master gonna get mad now. You're not gonna fully get all the bag. Like, no, God damn it. This is the time when you speak up and you say hell no. Because if I was in that courtroom, hell to the no, I don't forgive you. You should rot in hell. I hate everything. I hate the air you breathe, and we both breathe the same air. How about that?
And not only that, but I don't know if y'all remember dead presidents. I would have threw the chair at the judge. I'm just saying.
Thank you.
But look, also too, I mean, I'm just saying, also too, Kat, you said something very powerful. We fought to be equal. Who fights to be equal? What part of the game is that? And when we talk about uniforms, okay, if they don't want to show police and a police officer in uniform, if they committed a crime such as manslaughter or murder one, I mean, what's the difference in uniforms? You have all types of professions. Why show the doctor but not the cop? Why show the Marine but not the cop? I don't get it. When it comes to skin, that ain't no uniform. Why is one hue acceptable and one isn't? I tell you why, because there's a fear of the black planet, and it's still alive and rampant, and that's the main issue. So yes, when you're dealing with a white, racist, systemic structure, you're going to have a lot of bullshit, and this is some bullshit right here. So I just think that it is going to set the community back. It's going to set back many people, because the next time a trial like this happens, the family is going to be anticipated and expect to be docile and quiet and take their loved one's death and hush and take the Bible and shut up.
I totally agree with you. I absolutely agree. You know, honestly, I wanted to point this out, and I know we talked about the uniform, but do you guys notice how during the trial, every day she wore blue? They even dyed her hair blonde. This whole blonde hair, blue eyes, she played up the crocodile tears and everything. And I was like, wow, she's really playing to the public's emotions and their psyche. One, she's showing, hey, I'm blue. I support, like I'm still part of the police department. And then she comes with her beach blonde hair and her blue eyes, and she sits on the trial and just starts crying these crocodile tears. And I was just like, wow, they are really, really playing into people's emotions. And what pissed me off, I saw this black lady who basically said, well, I don't think she was guilty. I really do think it was a mistake that she did what she did. I don't really think she meant to kill him. I'm like, Heifer, were you not listening during the trial? She said it. She just came out of her mouth like, were you asleep? Were you texting on the damn phone during the trial? Like, honey, like, what the hell? What's the whole point? I understand that juries they're selected because they already know the anatomy of this jury and how they're going to make their decisions. There's studies and psychology behind this stuff, but it's just so sad because it's like, if we were on code, there's no way in hell she would have got 10 years. She would have got 25 to life, if not the chair, because Texas is a death penalty state. Now, mind you, it would have been a hard sell because, again, she is a police officer, but at the end of the day, she should have got 25 or life. And then the problem was, yes, we did have African Americans on this trial, in the jury, but they were not on code. Everybody in this damn case was on code. The family, the judge, the bailiff, the jurors, like, all of y'all asses was off code, and it's just disturbing on so many levels. Like, my God, like, I can't even understand. I'm trying not to get upset about it, but it's just like, we have so far to go as it pertains to being on code. Like, we need that indoctrined into our communities and our mindset, and we don't have that right now. That's troubling to me, to see us so off code like that. What's your thoughts on it, ladies? Because I know I'm a little hot and heated, but I just hate to see us so off code,
I just want to see the next. I don't want to see any other trial like this, first and foremost. And again, rest in peace to Botham Jean. May his family have the healing that they need and go forward and, have the closure that they desire in their heart. I'll say that. So it's not about tearing them apart at all. But what I will say, if another trial comes to be with the same situation, and it's an Asian family or a Hispanic family, I want to see if Catholicism is going to be pumped the same way. I want to see if Buddhism is going to be pumped the same way. I want to see the reactions that are going to be forced upon those particular sects and denominations. I want to see how they're going to handle it with the atheists. I just want to see what's going to happen, because I just want to know. I mean, again, with the docile forgiveness, with the hugging of the predator, with the hugging of the murderer. I mean, without him being resuscitated, with no CPR, with 3 days, with no, alcohol test, drug test. It's just so much. It's sloppy. I just want to see how, the Asian community might handle this. I want to see if they're going to be calm and, quiet and collective. I want to see how the Mexicans are going to handle this. I want to see how some Arabs are going to handle it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see what's going to happen, because the reality of it is, I don't think it's going to be handled the same way.
Not even, Alex. I truly believe they would be demanding justice, and they'll also be getting the bag, but they will be demanding justice. And they would rally around their community, and they would be protesting and everything else. And I guarantee you will see a different result. I'm almost ready at that.
It would be an international
crises, okay? International crises where everybody will be chiming in. I guarantee you that. Guarantee.
Yeah, I just want justice. I want justice for that family, justice for, hopefully, God forbid, like y'all stated, this doesn't happen again. I don't want this to happen again. And truth be told, I know she's a white woman and all that. Maybe they're trying to send a message. They need to start arresting also these white males who are killing our brothers as well. Like we all know that she might be out in 3 or 4 years from now. So they're trying to keep us quiet. That's they trying to teach them a lesson also, meaning to the women who always want to put up their fists for feminists, because I'm a feminist as well, but they always want things to go their way with her crocodile tears and dye her hair blonde. So that's a message also for them as well, that you will get some time. But once again, it's mixed messages. She'll get some time, but then she might be out in 3 to 4 years. So we didn't win at all. And that's just my take. I want the justice. We didn't win regardless.
Well, technically, they got the justice, right? I mean, they got forgiveness. They're going to get a bag, right? I mean, technically, she's been convicted of second-degree murder. They basically sentenced her to 10 years when she should have got 25. So technically, hey, yeah, they got the justice they wanted, not what the public wanted.
Right.
They wanted, because they are hollering about, oh, I would like to be her friend someday. Oh, I forgive you and I love you, Amber. I love you.
Crazy.
Yeah. Like a damn scene from out of a goddamn movie or something. Like, girl.
Yeah, that it needs to be exclaimed from the mountaintops that this is a case-by-case basis, because not every family is going to want a bag. I don't want a bag to replace my child. What if I come to the age where I can no longer conceive? I mean, with the judge, at some point, she is going to have to face whether or not that was a professional move. You're supposed to be objective. You're supposed to be, professionally unattached to it. No counter-transference whatsoever. So at the end of the day, if you're being acquiescent about the whole thing, how do you deal with yourself at night? Do you not have stomach ulcers? I mean, money isn't everything. You got to look at yourself at the end of the day. You have to be right within yourself. You know when you're not being right. It eats at you. You have to make personal changes.
Right.
So, I don't know. What's gonna happen?
We all know that not everyone who walks in this planet has morals. Not everyone cares about other folks. Not everyone goes to sleep wondering who they're going to help, how they're going to help. There's people that actually destroy their own kind. And that's exactly what we just witnessed.
Apparently she felt some kind of way. I don't know what that burdensome was, but she was forced to take down her Facebook page because everybody was basically chiming in and saying, how could you as a black judge do this and blah, 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 blah. And so she felt something to the point where she took her page down. So that was that consciousness eating at her soul saying, hey, you fucked up, right? Like, you fucked up. Because otherwise, if you truly believe what you did.
She probably got her pearls on the table.
Yeah, if you truly believe, because she's part of the boule, but that's another story. We're not even going to get in there. That's going to open a whole nother can of worms. But if you truly and stand on what you believe, you wouldn't have to take down nothing. You wouldn't be sitting here saying, oh, well, I'm this or that. You wouldn't be trying to haul in a DA and try to hold him in contempt and all these other stuff. And yeah, it's just, this was just a whole circus. All the way around. It was a horse and pony show, and this is going to go down in the history books because, again, the amount of coonery and display of sellout and just asinine ass behavior. Like, this one is for the books because I've never seen this before. You know, it's a lot of things with this case that could have went the right way. The family really could have gotten justice, but I guess money meant more than having justice for their son, their brother, you know. But, you know, I just look at Amber, you know, her boyfriend killing somebody years ago and never being convicted, and now she is. And it's just, yeah, this whole case is just one for the books. And I just hope that everyone look at what we discussed and just understand where we are as this community and how far we need to go. Again, everybody was off code, and there you had the judge off code, the family off code, the bailiff off code, jurors off code. We need to get to that point where we're on code and a united front, where we will not accept foolishness like this. It's our job to not only protect our own and our families, but our community as well. And what we do is a trickle-down effect. It affects everybody else in our community. And I want us to get that through our heads. You know, ladies, do you have any last thing that you want to add to our discussion tonight before we close out?
Well said, Juan. Well said. I mean, I just want to add, like I said, I want justice. We have stepped back. We have made mistakes. We could come out of this one as well. So I just believe that we just need justice. And with the death of this guy as well, we just need to keep it in our spirits. Rest in peace for both of our brothers who untimely death has caused us to talk about one more time. Where is the justice?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat. It's sad. May the little baby of Josh Brown be you know what I'm saying, remembered. May his father's legacy carry forward for being a man of integrity. Maybe there can be some type of GoFundMe for him for support for that mother as she mourns that child's dad. And again, to the John family, you know, may they heal in their own proper way. But again, hopefully we can take family as this is an example to truly use sound logic and intuition and understanding with doctrines that we choose to partake in. Don't participate in something because it's your cultural heritage and what's been passed down and you think it's right. Do the footwork, do the research, actually pay attention to what you're putting into your psyche, because it can be manipulated, misconstrued, and it can use your mind for control and you have no idea. So with that being said, peace, Sirius Mindz family. Kat, always good to talk to you. Juan, you as well. And I'm just thankful for having this platform. Professor Griff, thank you so much for all you do. And yes, I just hope that something like this never happens again, to where a Black man eats ice cream in his home and is murdered. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's no better way to end this chat. We ask that everyone please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share. If you'd like to contribute to the platform, you can do it up on Super Chat, PayPal, or Cash App. We thank you again for joining us on Sister Cypher. We do it every Tuesday and Thursday night. If you'd like to participate with Sister Cypher, I'll drop in the email address where you can contact us and let us know. Again, we're just talking casually about serious topics. So if you want to participate, please let us know. Men, we're calling you up to participate. You know, get into it. We don't just want this to be a female thing or a male thing. We want everybody to participate. So if you're interested, please let us know. We thank everyone. Professor Griff, we love you. Soleil, we love you. Peace to everyone. Good night. Sleep well.
Blessings. Good night.
Peace, family.